Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. Today I have a layout that I made for a Punched Out Thursday to Die for. For this layout, I'm using one of the sketches from Christy's Beautiful Life, 30 Days of Sketches, Series 9. This sketch is from day 7, and this is a page maps sketch. I used two different paper collections to make this layout. I used the Pebbles Birthday Wishes paper pad, and then I used a number of embellishments from the American Crafts Hooray collection. I wanted to have a colorful border, so I cut 1-inch strips. The one on the bottom is a little bit larger than 1 inch, of this really colorful, pretty striped paper. This is from the Pebbles collection. I attached 1 strip on the top and 1 strip on the bottom. For the side strips, I cut the corners at 45-degree angles, and then I layered them on top of the strips that I didn't cut. And then I realized that if I switched one of the strips of paper around, then the colors would line up in all 4 corners. And I liked the way that looked, so it was easy enough to rotate one of the strips of paper, and now my border is complete. On top of that, I'm going to layer a piece of white cardstock. So I decide how big I want to make it, and then I cut it to size. And then I use some adhesive, and I attach that down to the striped border. I thought that since there are a lot of colors in these collections, and it's going to be kind of a cheerful birthday themed layout, that it would be a good idea to have some white cardstock somewhere on the layout. This sketch called for 6 3x3-inch photos, so I cut down a whole bunch of 4x6-inch photos to 3x3, and I thought that this was great because these are photos of my daughter opening her presents, and I don't need to have a 4x6-inch photo of every picture of her opening up one of her presents, so I liked the idea of cutting them smaller and then having a whole bunch of them on one layout. Following along with the sketch, I created a large rectangle using some teal pattern paper. I layer some white cardstock on top of the teal paper, just leaving a thin border. And then on top of that, I layer this really cute pink swirl paper. Neither of these papers are solids, they're both pattern papers, but because the blue paper only has blues on it and the pink paper only has pink and light pink, they serve as solids in that they're not super busy. And I am going to have a very busy layout here, so I like the idea of having some papers that weren't quite as busy. My main goal was to try to line up this strip of paper with the rectangle that was in the background and get all of the photos on the layout so that they look like the sketch. And that sounds easy, but it requires me to make some adjustments. Again, I'm following along with the sketch in putting some border strips along the edges of this strip of paper. I used a very simple Fiskars scallop punch, and I created 2 dark green borders. I'm ready to attach down that blue and pink piece of paper. I realized that it was upside down, and then after I had that attached, I was ready to attach down that strip of paper with the candles on it. Later on, I switch out that candle paper. I really like it. And when I look at it on the screen, it doesn't look too busy, but it looked way too busy to me in person. So I ended up peeling that up and replacing it with this yellow piece of paper. After watching this video, I wasn't sure if I did the right thing, so I took the other piece of paper and I showed it to my husband, and right away he was like, no, the yellow paper looks better. It was too busy with the other paper, but I'm kind of doubting myself or questioning myself now because I like the way it looks when I see it on the video. But I didn't switch it back. I left it with the yellow pattern paper. And right now I'm trimming the yellow paper to size. I also put a very thin strip of white paper on each side of the strip of yellow paper. I just thought that that helped it kind of go along with the rest of the layout. There are a lot of white borders on the layout. Off camera, I trimmed those 3x3-inch photos down a little bit more, and I added a very thin white border to each one of them. I was just afraid that I wouldn't like the look of the photos if they weren't mounted on some white cardstock. And then to go along with the sketch, I mounted the two center photos on the right-hand side on the same piece of paper. And then I use my adhesive and I attach those down to the layout, and I use my T-square quite a bit to make sure that everything was lined up. I use a die that was in my stash. I am so sorry, I do not know the manufacturer of this die, but it's a square and it's a little bit smaller than the 3 by 3 inch squares, but it fit very well in that spot between the two photos on the left. I wanted to mount it on some white, so I just traced around it and then I trimmed a piece of white paper down. And I think that the white paper behind the die cut will help it stand out from the background. It took me a little bit of time to trim that white piece of paper down so that it fit correctly behind the die cut, but when it finally did, I put some gel glue on the center part, and then I made sure that I covered all of those very delicate scallops with the gel glue so that the die cut wouldn't come apart from the white background. Here you could see that I continue to make little adjustments to the edge of the white paper so you can't see it from the front. So now I have it assembled and I am ready to attach it down to the layout. So I just add some of the ATG adhesive, and that's where the title of the layout is going to go. Now, to make the title of the layout, I use some stickers from the Hooray collection. I really like these letters. I thought that Yay was a cute title for the layout. I was thinking birthday yay would be kind of cool, like birthday, comma, yay. But I think that the title of this is Yay, although I do add the word birthday in a little while. Now on the Fiskars pack, you could see them for a second on the right, there is another Yay title and the background is white. And I didn't notice that right now, so I'm going with these letters. I add some silver stars. There were a lot of silver stars on the Hooray Fiskars pack. You can see that off to the right now. And I use one of the embellishments. It had the word birthday on it. It was a ticket, so I just cut the word birthday out of it. And then I added some party hats to the layout. I added a yellow one on the upper right-hand corner, and then I added one that had some black and white lines on it on the bottom. A little earlier, I added a banner to the top right-hand corner that says Hooray, and I continue throughout this layout to play around with those silver stars. I knew I wanted to have them scattered around the layout, and I kind of kept changing my mind about exactly where I wanted them. Luckily, they were those foam stickers that you could easily peel up. For photo corners, I was thinking that silver would be a good color to use, and I happen to have this piece of silver paper. I just got this. It was some kind of packaging, and I thought, oh, I should put this aside for scrapbooking, and I never expected to use it the very next day, but I thought that these photo corners were a perfect match for the silver in this collection. So I punched them out using my EK Success scalloped photo corner punch, which I love and use constantly. I don't put the photo corners on every corner of every photo. I thought that it would be a little bit too much. I just put a couple of photo corners on each of the photos. Going along with the sketch again, I noticed that there was a scalloped edge underneath those two photos that are connected on the right. So I used the Fiskars punch again, and I punched out another green strip, and then I tucked that under those two photos. And here I am again playing around with those silver stars. I used my detail scissors and I trimmed off just a little bit of the end of that scallop so that it wouldn't go past the end of the photo. Usually I would use my paper trimmer to cut back something like this before I put it on the layout because I would want to make sure that I didn't cut it crooked, but it was close enough to being straight. It actually does look a little bit crooked. But in any case, I wanted to add some jewels to the layout. I have these really, really tiny jewels. I added those to the centers of the stars, not the two larger stars. I'm going to get a larger jewel for those. After I added the little jewels to the centers of the stars, I added a couple of jewels to the background. I thought that that would help the layout look a little bit more festive. I like to use detail scissors to help me place little tiny jewels like this on the layout. Unfortunately, these Cutter Bee scissors are kind of shot. They don't go all the way together unless I press them together. I have another pair of these scissors somewhere. Sometimes my daughters like to borrow these. They often go missing. So sometimes I can't locate them, but I'm pretty sure that if I look hard enough, I'll find the other pair. And it became clear to me as I was attempting to do this that I really need to dig out those scissors. So I added the jewels not only to the white background, but also to the area around the title. Again, I think that it's a nice little touch that adds that birthday feeling to the layout. I also decided to add a tiny little jewel on either side of the word birthday. Looking at the layout, I saw that there were the two party hats, and I was thinking that to balance it off and to make the title cluster look a little more interesting, I would add one more party hat. So I brought in a new blue one, I put that down at the bottom of the layout, and then the black and white one I put over the word birthday. I did not like the gold at the top of the party hats, and I didn't realize at the time that the edges of the word yay are also gold. I just didn't want to have silver, gold, and then all these other colors as well. I thought I should just stick to silver, so I switched out those gold pom-poms, and I saved them. They're really pretty. I would like to use them on another layout, but not for this layout. So I had some other pom-poms in my stash. I started off with two pink pom-poms, and now I'm adding some enamel dots to the photo corners. And I just got done saying that I didn't want too many colors, but there are already so many colors in the layout, so I thought that it would be nice to have the enamel dots on the photo corners in a variety of colors, as long as they're not new colors. They're the same colors that are already on the layout. A little bit earlier, I added some slightly larger jewels to those two larger stars, as I said I would. I wanted those to have jewels in them, but I thought that those tiny, tiny jewels would get lost on them. I liked the way those tiny jewels were looking, and I thought it wouldn't hurt to add a couple by that pink banner on the right-hand side and around that cluster of stars and embellishments. Then I realized that I had those yay letters in white with a silver border, and I think they look so much better on the layout. They are slightly larger, and they come with an exclamation point, and I really wanted to have an exclamation point. I feel the word yay should just naturally have an exclamation point after it, but because the letters were a little bit bigger, I didn't want to squish in that exclamation point, so I decided that I would just leave the word yay without the exclamation point, but I would have preferred to include it. I had to adjust the placement of some of the embellishments, the stars, and the jewels that were around the new title. So I fussed around with those for a little while, and then one of the jewels had to be glued down to the layout. Then I was thinking that I didn't want both of the pom-poms to be pink, so I switched out one of the pink ones for a blue one. And then I had to cut back the cardboard behind the pom-poms because it was so big you could see it from behind these much smaller pom-poms I replaced the gold pom-poms with. I added a couple of the little tiny jewels to the word yay. I just thought that that would be a nice addition to the title. And then I don't have any close-ups, but I do have some photos of the final layout. And I want to say thank you so much for watching. Please take a look in the description box and check out the channels of all the other incredible scrapbookers who are part of A Punched Out Thursday to Die For. I will see all of you again soon, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.